He assumed she was just another black woman, easy to intimidate, until she walked into that courtroom and ended his career. The road stretched out nearly empty that night. A few cars drifted by, their headlights bouncing off the slick pavement. Streetlights flickered above, throwing long, stretched-out shadows across the highway. Just outside Birmingham, Alabama. It was late, just past 11. That hour where most people had one thing on their mind, getting home. Lieutenant Commander Renee Dawson had been driving for nearly 2 hours. Her fingers tapped lightly against the wheel, keeping rhythm with an old jazz tune playing through her speakers. No uniform tonight. Just a simple black sweater, jeans. Hair pulled back. Nothing about her stood out. Or at least, that's what she thought. Then, flashing lights in the rearview. Red and blue. Closing in fast. Her stomach tensed, not in fear, no. She'd been through this before. It was exhaustion, pure and simple. She signaled, changed lanes, eased her car onto the shoulder. Put it in park. Took a slow breath. Both hands where they could be seen. Military had taught her well. A white patrol car rolled to a stop behind her. The officer inside took his sweet time getting out. When he finally did, he gotta love when they make it easy. Before she could even react, he was already out of the car, door slamming shut behind him. A second later, her door yanked open. "Let's go," he ordered. Renee twisted her wrists slightly as she stepped out. The cuffs bit into her skin. No surprise there. He hadn't loosened them at all. Head high, shoulders squared. She followed as he led her inside. Past a bored-looking desk sergeant, straight into processing. The holding area smelled of old coffee and sweat, stale, suffocating. A metal bench lined the far wall, a steel door just beyond it leading to the cells. Briggs uncuffed her, only long enough to shove her through booking. Fingerprints. Mugshot. Routine. The officers at the desk barely looked up. Just another night. Just another arrest. She knew that kind of indifference well. The kind that let men like Briggs operate unchecked. Once it was done, he grabbed her wrist again, steering her toward the cells. "Think you're smart, huh?" he muttered. She glanced sideways. "I don't have to think." His grip tightened. She could feel it. That got to him. Briggs sneered. "Enjoy your stay," then shoved her forward. Renee caught herself before she stumbled. She turned just as the metal bars slid shut between them. Briggs smirked, tapped the bars with his fingers, once, twice, before strolling away. A lock clicked into place. She exhaled slowly, then sank onto the bench. Cold metal pressed through her jeans, grounding her. One night. That's all it would take. Because Briggs had no idea who he had just messed with. The bench was hard, unforgiving. Renee shifted, rolling her shoulders, easing the stiffness creeping in. The cell wasn't much. 4 walls. A single flickering light. The faint smell of sweat and disinfectant. She had spent nights in worse places. Places where discomfort wasn't the worst thing, where real danger lurked in the dark. This was nothing. But that didn't mean she wasn't angry. Beyond the bars, she heard the low murmur of officers at the front desk. Paper shuffling. A coffee cup clattering against wood. She inhaled, slow, steady. Control the breath. Control the mind. Basic training, drilled into her long before she ever stepped onto a ship. Then, heavy footsteps. Briggs. She knew it before she even saw him. That same cocky rhythm in his stride, like a man who thought he was untouchable. He appeared in front of the cell, arms crossed, smirking. "Comfy?" She didn't answer. He tilted his head, stepping closer. "You know, if you just played along, you wouldn't be in here right now." A slow smile curled at the edges of her lips. "Oh, I'm exactly where I need to be." For just a second, his smirk wavered. A flicker of annoyance. Uncertainty. But he covered it quick, scoffing as he glanced at the empty holding area. "No one's coming to get you tonight, lady," he shrugged. "Guess that means you'll have some time to think about that attitude." Renee just watched him. Unmoved. Unshaken. Briggs leaned in slightly, voice dropping. "See, that's the thing. People like you think the rules don't apply." You think a little confidence is enough to get you out of trouble? She let him talk. Let him ramble. None of it mattered, because he had no idea what was coming. And then, right on cue, another officer approached. Younger guy, late 20s, uniform crisp, a clipboard in hand. Stopped a few feet away. Voice uncertain. Sergeant. Briggs barely glanced at him. The kid hesitated, shifting on his feet. We got a call. Briggs frowned. And I think you need to see this. Something changed. Briggs exhaled sharply, shooting Renee one last look before stepping away. She sat back, listening. The voices were hushed, but she caught the important parts. A lawyer. A call from higher up. Someone asking questions about why she was being held. Briggs's voice dropped, low, sharp, irritated. The younger officer stammered something in response. But whatever it was, it didn't make him happy. Then heavy footsteps again. Briggs stormed back, jaw tight, fists clenched. Smirk?
Gone.
What the hell did you do? Renee leaned forward, elbows resting on her knees. I didn't do anything. Tilted her head slightly. But people talk. And some of us have friends in very high places. Briggs's face darkened. And now, finally, she saw it. That moment of realization creeping in. The power shift. He wasn't in control anymore. He turned on his heel, muttering under his breath, disappearing down the hall. Renee exhaled. It wouldn't be long now. And when the truth came out, Briggs would regret every single decision that led him here. Morning light spilled through the narrow courthouse windows. Long streaks stretched across polished floors. The air inside was crisp, the kind of cold that settled deep in your bones if you sat still too long. Renee stood near the defendant's table, posture relaxed, eyes sharp. No handcuffs, no jumpsuit, just a navy blue blazer, a simple blouse, and an undeniable presence. She wasn't alone. Beside her, attorney Carlo Whitman flipped through papers, methodical, efficient. No wasted movements.
No small talk.
Renee liked that. Then, the heavy courtroom doors swung open. Briggs walked in, still carried himself like he owned the place, shoulders squared, chin lifted. But there was something different now. A stiffness in his step. A flicker of something in his expression. He wasn't so sure of himself anymore. Renee caught his eye. He looked away.
Good.
The judge entered. The room settled. Judge Alan Kirkland, older, weary, adjusted his glasses as he sat. Didn't waste time. All right, he sighed, flipping open the case file. Let's get to it. The prosecutor cleared his throat.
Middle-aged.
Neatly combed hair. Voice steady. Your Honor, we have reason to believe that the defendant. This is a powerful and timely piece. It blends narrative tension with a strong message about accountability, justice, and systemic reform. The pacing keeps readers engaged, and Renee Dawson is a compelling protagonist, calm under pressure, sharp-witted, and unshakable in the face of injustice.